This episode is made possible by our sponsor, Omega Bright Wellness. I've taken their omega-3 supplements for many years, and so has my wife, and that's why I invited them to sponsor my podcast. I'm proud to have them. You can find all of their products online at omegabrightwellness.com, and bright is intentionally misspelled B-R-I-T-E, omegabrightwellness.com.
Everybody was just like, what is going on? And I really believe he was on the wrong medication. It was working, in fact, probably against him. That child is on the right medication now. He had 3 letters of commendation from emails from teachers this week and is respecting mom at home.
Hello, this is Dr. Ned Hallowell, and welcome to Distraction. Today, I am thrilled to be joined by a guest we've had before, but we cannot have often enough. Kristen Seymour is one of our favorites. She is a clinical nurse practitioner from St. Louis. She is a specialist in cardiology on the faculty of the Barnes Jewish Hospital, one of the leading academic hospitals in the world. And she also just happens to be an expert on ADHD, not only because she has it herself, but because she's made it her business to develop a specialty while continuing to be a specialist taking care of critical patients in the field of cardiology. She went on to write a book entitled The Fog Lifted, A Clinician's Victorious Journey with ADHD, where she told about her personal struggle growing up in St. Louis, ultimately the amazing victory she had where she now is really at the top of her game. And it's a great treat and pleasure to welcome Kristen back to Distraction.
Well, thanks, Ned. I'm not sure I'm worth all of that, but thanks for the kind words. Good to be back and talking with you.
Well, we wanted to touch on a couple of topics. The first one being one that you're often asked, namely, how do you manage to get done as much as you do, being not only a cardiology specialist and an ADD specialist, but a mom, a wife, and an incredibly busy woman? How do you achieve productivity in the midst of the chaos that ADD can create?
Right. That's a good question because it's probably the first thing everybody always asks. And I think the most important advice I've been giving people lately, and I've been taking myself, is to always come back to the core 4, which is my 4 family members, myself, my husband, and my girls. And every day starts and ends with what's best for them and what they need to get done. We all need to do throughout the day, and everything else goes around that. Barnes Jewish Hospital, I work my job around that. The girls, gym, my consulting works around my family. As long as you always keep your priority and your eye on the ball, which is your core 4 people or 5 or your key 3, however many in your family, that is the most important thing, and that's why I can do what I do. So that's how each day begins and ends, and then everything else works around that. And so I always try to figure out a way and resources available to make sure I can get done what I need to do with my priority of the day. That's probably the biggest thing, the first most thing. The second most important thing is just to be gentle with yourself and know you can only do so much and not be afraid to say no. So if someone wants to see me or do something or meet or have me take on an extremely time-consuming case and I know I can't, I will wait a few weeks. You can only do what you can do, and a lot of us ADHDers are pleasers, perfectionists, who always want to say yes. The other thing is incentivizing yourself. Most all the teens I work with and college students don't understand the real meaning of incentive. Because we're dopamine-driven, love positive feedback, we need to reward ourselves for doing things that are mentally challenging or exhausting. So if somebody has to do a paper that they're just completely dreading, they need to set time on it, attack it in compartments or small intervals, and then reward themselves when the paper is done. Set soft and hard deadlines, things like that. Set a soft deadline of maybe a week before it's really due or a few days, and a hard deadline of the day it's due. So you can have that cushion of time as the backup if it doesn't get done due to illness or unexpected events.
You also had some other tips about productivity that I remember.
Yeah, the life hack. There are shortcuts and ways to make things easier. I have a cooler in my car on certain days when I'm going to be running around town, going from place to place or hospital to hospital with ice packs in it, so I can pop by the grocery and throw a few items in it. Most people like to go to different grocery stores, Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, Walmart, wherever, and then put the different items in and keep them cold so you're not backtracking where you just were earlier that day. Taking pictures of your receipts if you have to expense items for your job. Not only do you have the day and time and receipt, you can virtually move that to a folder of 2018 expenses, in a subheading, so you're not messing with all of these different receipts. So things like just trying to take shortcuts like that, or taking a picture of where you parked your car, because so many of us have that poor short-term memory at times. Dictating in your note, if you're fortunate enough to have a smartphone, which I think most of the population does anymore, you can use the voice-activated memo, and I dictate my to-do list, dictate my emails, dictate things, because it's hard for many of us to write down all of our thoughts. And then uploading that to an email, and then you've got your whole, some brief notes to go back to if you don't have time to sit and write something. So those are all some good ideas to help people save time.
On another note, I know that you have worked with a number of high school students who were particularly lost, and do you have any sort of general themes and trends? Because I've seen you really turn them around. What are the issues you think there?
Well, the best thing is when you can partner with parents, whether they're married or divorced. Every parent wants their or guardian wants their child or student to succeed. And when you partner with them and better understand the dynamics, not only at home, but at school and with their athletics and sports and extracurriculars, it's a bigger picture than maybe sometimes the teacher sees. Or maybe a parent who hasn't, can't see the whole scope all the time. So what I like to do is, if I can, and most often the families welcome it, is have a meeting of the minds with the school advisor, the student's advisor, the head of the school, the dean of students, the parents, and sometimes with the student and sometimes without, to just see what pressure this kid is under. Because sometimes when everyone's on the same page, things go amazing, but sometimes people are missing a link. So partnering with the school, really understanding everyone and wanting what's best for the student is just really, really effective. You have some parents that think the school should do every single thing and the parent should do nothing. That's not good. You have some parents that think the school does nothing and they have no idea what the school is capable of because they've never sat down and looked at the whole picture. So when they start learning when they're younger in high school and junior high, it's really cool and fascinating and remarkable to see what they're able to execute on their own with mom and dad far away, their coach, me, far away, on their own, thinking outside the box to partner with the school.
And you say partnering with the school comes as news to some parents.
Exactly. And, the biggest thing, if I can say, that I've witnessed is when the parents come in with an open mind and calm and wanting to partner and say, thank you for all you've done for Sally, whoever, their student. We are so fortunate to have a team like you, and not have to kiss their rear end, but really partner, because the school works really hard too. And then say, what are we able to accomplish within reason? And they're going to work with you. But coming in there angry and upset and ticked off and, going, with a chip on your shoulder and defensive about something or a diagnosis or a situation, that will not be a helpful approach.
And it's a pretty natural alliance, you're all on the same team. So it's really you're opening a natural door. There's no reason to keep it closed, and because all that stuff is born out of anxiety. How do you help parents become less anxious, and how do you help them come into the school with the right attitude? That
is a great question. The first thing I usually do is just tell them, and I sometimes feel rude saying this, but I have to say, let's just slow down. And I hate when people say that to me, so I feel like a hypocrite. But let's just take a breath. Let's sit down. Let's slow down. Let's see what the grades really are to date. How anxious is the student? How vital are sports? How far are we in the season? And it just lets the parents settle down and know that we probably can drop an AP course. We probably can maybe decrease the time on the ACT 4-hour class on a weekend on top of the tournament. Let's space things out differently. The school's on our side. If it's a public school, and private, but more public, there's laws that protect that parent. They don't have to be so hysterical. There are standards in place if you're not getting what we need for your student. Private schools, they have standards as well, very high ones as well. But those same laws don't always apply. So therefore, you can say, we're paying tuition. This is what we're seeking this education. Let's partner on this together, but not in a threatening way. The parents then think you're right. The ball is in our court. There's one parent that I have ever had to say who actually was so anxious that we had to do a meeting before the meeting to role play. And then that parent's probably going to, there's some parents that end up needing a little bit more, like working out, exercising, and taking out caffeine because they just feed their anxiety. But other than that, they usually get very calm when they feel they have a partner or that the school is really on their side.
So just giving, just your sort of taking them by the hand and saying, we can do this together.
Yes. And the parents were just like, what is it that you're doing that we're not? And I'm like, it's just because sometimes it comes from somebody else who's not in a position of authority, like a teacher or a parent, but they command, they have the respect for as well. And you're not a peer, but you get the brain because I lived it. And I know what they're saying when they say they can't focus. I know why they have to get up after 10 minutes and take a break.
Over the past few months, I've spoken to my friend, the founder and creator of Omega Bright Wellness, Dr. Carol Locke, about the benefits of taking Omega Bright's omega-3s, CBD, and other supplements. Here's a clip from one of those conversations. Now, there are many different products, brands of fish oil. Why is Omega Bright the best?
What I can speak to with Omega Bright is it's a very different formula than typically what you can get in the store or online. And Omega Bright is clinically proven. We have over 10 studies in major academic centers showing Omega Bright improving mood, helping with bipolar, with depression, with ADHD, with anxiety, with inflammation. So it's a very proven product for you to gain these benefits, and these benefits we know come from Omega Bright. You can't get that with a typical omega-3, which has, say, 180 milligrams of EPA in it. That just isn't going to provide that benefit.
Distraction listeners, you can save 20% on your first order at omegabrightwellness.com by using the promo code PODCAST2020. All right, let's get back to today's topic. What do you wish someone had told you when you were in high school and trying to figure it all out?
That it truly can be an asset, and it's good news. It's a gift if you harness it properly. That it's not a curse. That it sometimes might feel like one, but that you have an incredible ability to think large and accomplish much. You're not a failure, and you are smart, because all of us feel so dumb.
And how did you beat the odds? I mean, how did you manage to make it?
Well, probably when I got my diagnosis, I was so relieved to know it wasn't my fault, if you will. And at 19, I was like, this is such a relief to know I'm not stupid and I'm not lazy and I'm not applying myself. And after trying everything that was non-medication, schedule, routine, structure, diet, exercise, sleep, everything like that, then when I went on the medication, it was really a big game changer because I was such a textbook case. And that was what changed it around. But then I thought, nothing's going to stop me. Nothing was getting in my way. I just had this desire to be a nurse. And I'm like, I don't care what I have to do this. I'm going to do it. And then that clarity was a relief. And then I was like, this is fun and this is easy. And I can't believe how much I actually like school. And the other thing is, this is just a side note, my parents never gave up. They really didn't. And they did love me through that. But when I was dating people or my friends in high school, college, and post-college, those people believed in me. And those people cheerleaded my husband, like Jim, the whole way through. those are the people that have your back and support you in so many loving ways. Why I was successful off medication too.
Yeah. How much difference did medication make for you?
100%. Because everything else was not. I mean, working that we had tried over so many years, and even after the diagnosis. And, so in 92, Dr. Garrett Burris was like, let's just try this. And I think she's a classic case. And we did it, and it was literally like turning on the windshield wipers in a rainstorm and clarity, or a cable from a non-cable TV. It truly is that way. And I have a patient I'm working with who he's so impulsive in 8th grade. He opened the car door while his mom was driving down an interstate, and he's fine, but he was just doing so many impulsive things, and everybody, the school, the parent, everybody was just like, what is going on? And I really believe he was on the wrong medication. It was working, in fact, probably against him, because it was not the right dose. It was like sometimes when you don't have the right medication at the right dose, it's subtherapeutic, it's not effective. It's not against him, but it wasn't working in his favor. It wasn't making a difference. So that child is on the right medication now that I suggested to a psychiatrist. He had 3 letters of commendation from emails from teachers last week, at the end of last week, and is respecting mom at home and doing so well. And that is so fast. As you can see how fast the correct plan all around and medication can be effective in major ways. So
the correct plan and medication, I think, so true. But I would add, and you don't know how well you do this, but I've seen it, you advocating. You really go to bat for these kids. And I think in a way that a lot of doctors don't have time or don't feel that it's their role or what have you. But I've seen you. I mean, you go right in there. You go right into the school, and you get right in with the kids, and you really cheerlead in a big way. And I think that element is often forgotten, that people don't realize how important that is.
You're exactly right. And when you work with cases where you have to always remember, that child, your parents are trusting you and them as a team, and that child is all I care about. I mean, the parents' vision and their mission and their beliefs is important, but one parent goes, medicine's not an option for us. And I said, well, this isn't your journey. This is Sally's journey. And we need to really reevaluate what this is about. Let's look at the facts, because right now your child is so defeated, they're going to turn to something else possibly to calm their mind. And that's that. And that usually is very powerful, because if she was diabetic or chemo, if she had cancer, or eyeglasses for vision problems, I mean, let's stop and think about this. And that really bothers them when they don't want to, because they don't believe in it or they don't believe the facts. Look at the MTA analysis. Look at all the good data out there that shows how effective it can be without long-lasting side effects. To be effective, it's not about making friends with everybody. You have to be direct and factual and represent and do a good job for that student.
Why do you think there aren't more services like the ones you provide? They're very hard to find, people who do it the way you do it.
I don't know. I think probably because some people think that they're a good coach or accountability coach or advocate, and they probably are. I mean, I think there's just not a lot of people who have lived it and lived it well that want to talk about it and share some of the horrible, not horrible, but some of the struggles I had, and how I'm willing to get in there with them and say, I know you'd probably rather poke your eyeballs out or starve yourself to death than do this paper, but I know that feeling, but let's bite it off in little chunks. Not a lot of people will admit they had to go through that to get through school, or didn't even know they had it, or don't care enough, or don't want to spend that much time.
Yeah, I mean, I think people forget this is not just take a pill and see me in the morning kind of thing.
Right. No. It's literally the student and I meeting with the parents and going sometimes to where they, whether it's FaceTime virtually or in person, and seeing the dynamic and the setup, and what does homework look like in your house? Like, where are you sitting, and how can we make this more effective? And let's make some strategies that will work.
Right.
Or, you know what I mean? It's kind of like taking on a family. I see this girl who I love that I'm working with right now. And this girl is awesome. I mean, she's more athletic, smarter, prettier, more confident than I was. I diagnosed with ADHD, combined type with anxiety, just similar to what I would have been in high school. This girl wants to help herself so much and is willing to do anything I say and suggest with, and her parents as well, that I burn to help them. So my daughter, I take care of my girls, take care of my family, take care of myself. And then when I have time and my kids are out or doing something else, I will go over to that house, or I will meet in my office and help this family. Because this kid wants it as bad as I do. But when I seem to care more than the child or more than the parent, that's not good. Those are the cases, I do my best with, but it's when the parents are so wanting me and they're all engaged that I'm just like in it with them. And those are the ones you have the fastest improvement to, like within a month.
Well, I could talk to you for a long time. I want to remind people that you'll be at the International ADHD Conference in St. Louis, November 8th to the 11th, and you'll be talking about self-medication and vaping. Is that correct?
Yes, in all students, but particularly in ADHD impulsive students and what that does to the brain and their behaviors.
And the conference will have a ton of wonderfully interesting speakers. So if any of you want to go and can go, I really recommend it. And again, Kristen's book is called The Fog Lifted, A Clinician's Victorious Journey with ADHD. And if people want to reach you, what's the best way for them to reach you?
They can reach me on my website. It's ADHDfoglifted.com, and there's a contact form there. But they're in my email, I believe. My business email's in my book as well.
Good. Well, your message is very practical, but also very hopeful and inspiring. You've lived it, you practice it, and you put in that kind of work and don't give up, and you do get a good outcome. Well, Kristen, thanks a million for taking the time to join us. I know how really busy you are, and as always, you're wonderful. We have to have you on again soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ned.
All right. Well, this is Dr. Ned Hallowell for Distraction, and thank you so much for joining us. The episode you just heard was made possible by my good friends at Omega Bright Wellness. I take their supplements every day, and that's why I invited them to sponsor my podcast. Shop online at Omega Bright, and that's BRITE wellness.com.